Bitcoin and Ethereum. What's its next move? Let's find out in the chart, shall we? Wow, Bitcoin has decided to go all the way down to the 200 period moving average. Unfortunately, exactly like I predicted. I didn't want to say that. I didn't want to say that it was going to definitely go there, but it looked like it was going to do that, and that's what happened. It went all the way to the 200 period moving average on the 4 hour, and I honestly have to say, I had severe directional bias into one side, and I ended up having to flip bearish once we broke through the 55,500 mark, and yeah, it was hard. It was hard to switch to the bearish mode, but you had to react to what the bear market was telling you, and that's what I did. And we're going to talk about that and more in today's episode and how to trade that. If you're interested in how to trade the next move, you can do so by going to buybit.davincij15.com and setting up an account and getting $200 bonus, or femex.davincij15.com and also setting up an account there as well. It only takes about 2 minutes, and it's you will help the channel, and you'll learn. You could also trade on those platforms if you learn how to trade properly. It is very risky on those exchanges. With that said, my name is Da Vinci Jeremy. I'm here joined with Inti Campos.
Good morning, people. How are you today?
I'm sure we're all in the pot, 5 by 5. I mean, yeah, sure. You might have taken some of you might have taken a loss, but hopefully you've learned that only a small loss, right, is what you're going to take, and not larger losses, right? Make sure that you never lose more than 5% of your total portfolio that you deposit in any of those exchanges, and you'll do very well. And the last time I was last trade that I was in, I moved the stock up so that my losses were even less. So that's the key thing, right, about this game, is always make sure that you're here tomorrow to play the game. And yeah, so that's the key thing, right? Don't you think, Inti?
Yes, that's rule number 1, as well as not betting more than 5% of your portfolio in any particular idea, or you're going to get heavily burned. And and having the appropriate reasons to take any trade, of course.
Exactly. All right. With that said, we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about Bitcoin. It's too big to ignore. Remember how we had too big to fail?
Yes.
Now we have too big to ignore. We're talking about that and more. Also, going to be going over some small cap coins, 3 random coins, right? 1 small, 1 medium, and 1 large cap coins, and determine if they're a buy or not. I haven't looked at them, right, in the charts, so we're going to be looking at them for the first time. And you know what? I'm not sponsored by any of these coins that I'm going to be talking about. I just got my editor to choose 3 random coins so I can look at it. So let's see what he chose for us. And I'm gonna maybe I'll even buy some, right? And hopefully you guys will get the chance to buy some as well. All right. With that said, Inti's here to look at the chat room to make sure that you guys are all having fun, right? And also to look for your questions and write them down, and so that we can do them after the show. So if you're missing that, right, you make sure that you'd be a part of that by purchasing a Pandora's Wallet subscription, or buying the DJ15 token, or you could also participate for free, right, on Twitch with the real Da Vinci J15 on Twitch. So yeah, check those out if you're interested in watching this live. And we do this live every day, Monday through Friday, at 8 o'clock, and on the weekends at 11. All right, so let's get on to the charts. But before we do, Inti, you have a few words to say to the people.
Yes, as always, people, it's worth to remind you that this video is for entertainment purposes only, and this is not financial advice. Please do your own research before putting any of your hard-earned money on the market. So, Da Vinci, please bring the show on, because I'm very excited.
Yes, exactly. Let's do it. Okay, just a quick reminder, right? BlockFi is where you could earn some interest on your Bitcoin, right? Just remember, tail risk is it will may cause risk to your wealth. Remember, if you are actually earning interest on your wealth, you are putting the money at risk. So remember what that risk is. If you accept that, I think BlockFi is a great place to do it, and you should head over to BlockFi so you could earn your 8.6% APY on all of your Bitcoins. All right, with that said, let's head over to the charts. Oh, man. It's never good to see price go down. We only want to see price go up, right? but it's just that's not the way it is, right? And I have to admit, right? We've done this. I've talked about this in my in the Pandora's Wallet group after the show, that I was suffering from serious directional bias, especially since one of my viewers pointed out, hey, Mr. D, that's an M right here, right? And yeah, that's when I had to realize, oh shoot. If we break, even though we've created 3 lows here, if we break this, it's pretty much game over. And yeah, there it is. Once we did break it, right? Looks like I've lost the mouse. All right, sorry about that, guys. We had a little bit of technical difficulties there. The screen had just frozen, but we're back here. And yeah, as I was saying, right? Once we broke the 55,500 level, that was game over. It was a clear point, and that's when I took my stop loss. I took my stop loss a little bit higher because remember what I said. It really didn't matter whether it was here or here. Oops, there we go. Let me just grab that point, that purple line there, and of course it didn't do that. All right, so let me try that again. So it didn't matter if it was here or there. It was going to be game over for the price action on price action, because we knew that this was going to, once we closed a 4-hour candle, it was like clear that this was a break of this trend line, and that was that. So I took a stop loss, and then I reversed my trade. Actually, I did reverse my trade for a small amount, and then I hit my target just above the 200 period moving average, because I wasn't interested, because I knew this was going to take and happen overnight, and I wasn't sure if it was going to actually hit at the 200 period moving average, just above it. So sometimes it does that, just above the 200 period moving average. And nope, we went crossing through it and then bouncing off of it, and we're now in positive territory. Moving on, here, we're still in a bearish mode. You can see we're above the at least in the hourly, we're now like trying to flip bullish as we try to break above the 13 EMA, but are we going to stay above that? Only time will tell. Let's take a look at the 15-minute to see what's going on here. We're definitely pumping on the 15-minute, and we're now on the overbought territory. So you don't want to be buying up here just yet. You want to maybe see if this thing comes back down to retest the lowers. There's a lot of resistance at this. Support at this level here. At the 200 period moving average and at this red box. If we zoom out, you can see that there's lots of support down there, and we held the line. So don't be surprised. Let's just move down to the 1 hour. Don't be surprised if we roll down just to test. Let me grab this line. We roll down a little bit just to test this and go, yeah, I don't want to go down. So that's probably the next move in the cards here for Bitcoin, as it tries to determine whether or not that if the support is going to be held or not. I would say that we have to test it one more time before we go higher. So this bounce might come up to this downward sloping trend line, and then retest it once more before we actually go higher. If we fail, which is most likely the case, if you ask me, I think because we have the 61.8 down here to bounce off of, then that's where you might want to consider getting in on an entry level once we see what the price action is as it breaks down. The 61.8 looks like the most likely scenario. going over to the daily, let's see if there's any kind of information on the daily that we could garner as the price tries to come back to the 61.8. Let me just redraw that right here. So we pumped to there, and yeah, there we go. So we're gonna draw our fibs, right, and from the top to the bottom here. And if we come back to the 61.8, yes, you can see a lot of traffic here. So this was resistance before, so now it's going to be support because there's a failure on the daily, and we're going to close the bell. We're going to tighten up the band once we come down here. If we bounce on a daily scale, which will be good, right? We want to see the Bollinger Bands tighten up on Bitcoin on the daily scale so that we can set up for a nice big move higher. Overall, I was a little, I was thinking that Bitcoin was going to not make a new high and then roll over and come back down, but instead, what it did is made a new high, and it looks like it wants to come back down all the way down here. Now, if we roll over around this 5,700 level at the worst case scenario, and then move higher, that would create a nice, beautiful W, and off we go. I prefer us to obviously to bounce off the 61.8, but anything can happen, and I don't see it possible that we could go all the way to 78.6. But once again, anything could happen. I think we'll probably bounce off of the 61.8 and then make the W, and then once we break out above the 62,000, it's off to the races to the $70,000 mark, no matter what. All right. With that said, let's head over to Ethereum. I mean, it was clear what was happening here. As I said, we were testing previous support many times, and that was just too much for the buyers who are holding this price action up. They couldn't do it anymore, and so they let it go. I'm a little concerned because there's a lot of space here. I think the 61.8 is not going to be the target. The resistance level, the true resistance or support level, is way down here, right? As you can see. So once we break down once we decide that we don't want to break higher here, because we should retest the higher levels here into the box here, into this now support that's now going to turn resistance. And once we do that, we could see this thing coming all the way down to the 78.6 right here before we actually see any kind of turnaround on this market. Now, of course, we can see that if we do that and we bounce off of the 61.8, right, what we could turn into is like a nice, beautiful W once we break this level, this higher level here, which is approximately $1,950, approximately $1,950, but it was $1,943 is the exact price level. Yeah, so that is the price level to breach before we could say, boom, we're off to the races. Of course, we'll come back and test our resolve before we go a lot higher. Ethereum and all altcoins and all cryptocurrencies are due for their turn at bat. Don't be surprised if Ethereum decides to take off and leave Bitcoin behind as Bitcoin continues its dump downwards, because it's part of the alt family still. And even though I hold it as a reserve asset, and it could end up decoupling from Bitcoin. And as we see that we're beginning to see some signs that, hey, maybe altcoin season is here. I mean, I'm noticing it with my portfolio over here, right? Which you could also use, right, to track for your taxes and so forth at cointracking.davincij15.com. And yeah, you can see that the altcoins are doing extremely well. A lot of my alts are like pumping up, And wow, how did Nautilus? I could have sworn Nautilus is a dead coin. That's crazy. How did I get that? Wow, I'm gonna check into that later on after the show. Interesting. How I could have sworn Nautilus died a long time ago. Alrighty, maybe it's not the same coin. Okay, with that said, let's head over to the news of today, which is the Deutsche Bank says Bitcoin is too important to ignore, right? In the report, Bitcoin is now too important to ignore given its $1 trillion market capitalization, according to a new report by Deutsche Bank. The report published Wednesday states that the price of Bitcoin could continue to rise as long as it continues to attract entry from asset managers and companies. However, the cryptocurrency is expected to remain volatile due to limited tradability. They're also going on to talk about how only 30% as 30% is used for transactions of the Bitcoin network, right? And yeah, that's true. Bitcoin is now, like gold, right? It's just too difficult and expensive to move around, so that's why it is now used as a reserved asset more often than it is used as, a transactional currency. But over time, right, all those people who join our network, they will see the value of providing optionality for transactions for the average person, because there's so much money to be made. There's so many bitcoins, not dollars, bitcoins to be made from providing ability to transact in the cryptocurrency space directly. So that is coming, and to a theater near you, and I'm looking forward to that day. Of course, right? We have Lightning Network, but it doesn't have to be Lightning Network. It can be simple. It could be as simple as Binance enabling people transferring on their network to each other. I mean, how hard it is for them to go, yeah, I'm going to flip a switch, and then you could transfer it to another person on our network if you know their email address, for example. And then they have that ability. And then we could transact with our Bitcoins directly on Binance. Now, the only thing that holds them back from doing that is the governments, right? The governments will not tolerate that feature being enabled on Binance. So that's the problem with centralized networks, right? They can't do what decentralized networks can do. And I think that's probably going to be the foreseeable future. Unless of course, PayPal, right? It is a company that does it. But then again, they could always absorb PayPal, right? And then once they do, they have that feature, right? Because they have all the regulatory. If Binance absorbs PayPal, they have all the paperwork and signed documents and everything to actually allow them to do that, and they don't have to go through it themselves. So it's going to be interesting times, indeed, right? All right. So with that said, let's head over to our first cryptocurrency. Let's talk about Lisk. Now, Lisk is one of the older coins, right? I remember purchasing it way back in the days, and I don't remember what it does, but really, I don't really care. Honestly, I'm looking at the charts. I try to avoid fundamentals, right? Because the reason why is you end up falling in love with a coin too much, and when you do, it gets you hurt. Right? It gets you. You end up throwing too much money at it, and then you and then it goes to zero. I've had it happen too many times to me, so that's why I'm not interested in looking at the fundamentals of a particular coin. If somebody tells me something in general, I will listen to it and and then incorporate it into my trading strategies. But unfortunately, I end up personally, I end up falling in love with too many coins, so I try to avoid that. All right. With that said, Lisk, right, it's a decent buy here at the bottom here of the range here. I don't like the fact that, of course, it probably created a new low. Yeah, and if we go to Bittrex, because I know Bittrex has a little bit more data on Lisk itself. Maybe it didn't. Yes, it did. Yes, it did. It created a new low because you want to ignore the beginning wick, and that's not always a good sign. But here's the cool thing: nobody's leaving. This whole bear market, nobody left. No one left. You could say, you could say that there's been a slow bleed, but in general, the average holder is still holding it. They didn't go, screw this. This is this is a waste of my time, and dumped it on a heavy basis. So, with that said, this most likely will probably, if we go to from the last base, as we hear right here, will probably do something crazy, like come all the way back up to close to its all-time highs, right, priced in Bitcoin. That's insane.
You can from the lows right now, you can get about 4 or even 5 doubles to the top.
Yeah, exactly. That's insane. Priced in Bitcoin, right?
Priced in Bitcoin. That's everything we care about.
Exactly. And then if you just say, okay, well, you know what? Let's just say that's too pie in the sky. Let's just go to 38.2, right? As an option, right? You can see, right, from 38.2, that's at least one double from here, I think. Let's see here, 78,000 7,800 sats. It's 8,000 sats. No, it's not quite another. Is it? Yes, it is. So 8,000 sats, and there's 132,700 sats. Yes, that's more than that's more than a 10x, right? Right there. That's almost a 20x right there. It was like 15x really. So just to the 38.2, just there. It's like not even like ambitious as up to like this 61.8, right? We were talking like multiple doubles all the way up. Well, to like, for example, 14, 32, let's just say 16, 32, 64, and 128. So yeah. So there you go. There's 16, 32, 64, 128, 4 doubles right there. Just headed straight to the 38.2. And as this thing moves all the way to the 62, moves all the way up to 78.6, right? You could get another double right there. So this thing has the potential to do something spectacular. So definitely want to have some of this in my balance sheet, right? So I already have some already, right? And we've created like multiple cheeky W's off the bottom here, as you can see. Woof, woof. And then we created, and then if you were like missed it, right? You could have like, again, not chased it and hit the 61.8 like clockwork, right? And it gave you a second chance at it. We're now created another W. Unfortunately, it's probably off to the races with this thing, especially since all the coins are like just on the cusp. They're like, I want to go. It's hard to say that a 61.8 pullback is going to happen again here. Difficult to say. So what do? Do you buy up here? I don't think so. I think you should wait for. If you put a small amount of money, it's fine. Like if you put like something negligible, that's fine. Like 0.05% of your portfolio, right? And then you go, okay, well, since this has so much potential, I'm gonna put 0.05, right? That's fine, right? Because you're not buying the highs here, really, right? And any stretch of the imagination, right? Because this was the highs of the last bull market back in what was this 2020, last year in the a year ago, basically last year before we had the failed bull market. So and you're a little bit lower than me, right? So yeah, I would say this would be a decent level to put a small amount, and then you could add some at the 61.8. Unfortunately, I'm not 100% sure that I'm not 100% confident that you're going to get the 61.8 pullback right here, which would be at the 600 sat level approximately. Let me 6,000 sat, sorry. 6,050 sat level. So yeah, and then you could load the boat there, right? You could always go, okay, I'm going to get some more, right? And get like a whole 2% at that level, and be happy with that. Okay. So you'd add like 1.5% of your portfolio at that price level to purchase some Lisk, should it come back there. Okay, moving on to the next coin is Gnosis or Gnosis. Another coin that I think this was older coin too. I've heard this coin before. I think I had it in my portfolio before. Let's just pull it up on our chart. GNO. Okay, so it is on Bittrex, on Bitfinex. Yes, I do remember seeing this coin back in the early days. Yes, there we go. There we go. It was one of those older coins. It's fantastic, man. The buyers are like, no, they left the building. They did leave the building here on this coin, a little bit. Yeah. Overall, they did, but not completely. I mean, compared to where they were back here, but this is the average, really, where right up here, and so we're back to where we were when this thing had a failed pump here, like a dead cat bounce here. So I would say that this coin has been failing, but recently has been pumping as people are getting some sort of interest into it since it hit the lows, which was down here, which is pretty good because it's not coming from the lows, right? It already hit the lows, created a new pump during the October season, and then it's coming back, right? To, let's just see here. Is it going to come further? Is it going to go back further back? And well, we've actually bounced off to 78.6. So we're in a buying zone for this coin, and I'll be okay with anybody purchasing some of this coin for the next bull season, as this is the green zone for buying. If you want, you could always put a stink bid right at the 88.6. That looks like a possibility that if there's like a fat finger, somebody, or a rage quit going, screw it, I'm going to dump all this nonsense and leave the coin. You could see a bounce, a quick wick down, and then a bounce higher. And so you might want to do a little bit of a stink bid to see if you can get in at get some of these coins very cheaply. Alrighty. next coin is NDX. Now, I'm not sure where this is traded on, but let's just take a look. Actually, let me take a look over here on CoinGecko. Okay, it's an ERC20 token indexed, right? Let's see here. It's on Crypto, Utero, and Uniswap. Okay, so let's bring up the chart for Uniswaps. Chart, FX Pro, right? We're gonna bring up the what's it called? It's NDX index. And there we go. There it is. So let's go to daily. Wow. Okay. So very good. Very good. I like that. So remember, it's backwards here. Okay. We're right back to the 78.6, but I think since we've already broken it, I mean, the obvious direction for this coin is the 88.6 is where you want to pick some of this up. If you pick some up now, that's fine, but you know the 88.6 looks like its ultimate trajectory for this coin. 6 before it actually makes any kind of pump. Of course, it is possible that the 88.6 not get hit, but since we're so close to it, I wouldn't be surprised if we head back down and get really close to the bottom here before we actually see this thing decide to pump. If you buy this here, I'm not going to be mad at you, right? We are in a buy zone for this coin. In fact, if I had some cash on me in my crypto wallet, if I had a little bit more, I would definitely go and get some of this right here, right now, and I probably will do some when the show's over, because it just makes sense, this coin, to have a little bit in your pocket, have some money in your pocket, because this thing could have a explosive move anytime, at any time. No guarantees from the management, right? Do your own research and so forth and decide for yourself. But I'm liking, those little old ladies liking where this coin's head's at. So I'm going to definitely get some and sell half on a double in Ethereum. Alrighty, that's all for today. Just remember, right? Head over to blockfi.com/DaVinciJ15 to get your 8.6% annual interest on your Bitcoins, right? Just remember the risks right behind that. Anytime you get interest, right, there is a risk. All right, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed today's show. We're going to be going on to the question and answer period, and just remember, Bitcoin's real, Bitcoin's here to stay, and you need to be a part of it. Cheers, people.
Bye.